What's up, fans? So Thursday, Adam Gase came out and he had a press conference. So I reported it to you guys. I told you guys what he said. Was it stuff you liked? Maybe. Was it stuff you hated? Maybe. But today, the assistants came out. What assistants? Special teams coach Darren Rizzi, new offensive coordinator DouglieDoWrong, and of course, Matt Burke. So I'm going to tell you what they talked about, like I did with Adam Gase. I'm going to give you guys a brief thought on what I thought about what they said, and we'll go from there. I think my chair just broke, so if I fall off screen, that's because my chair broke. So let's start with Darren Rizzi, the guy who's been with the Dolphins the longest. First thing he talked about was the kicker, Jason Sanders. Because a lot of people wanted to know, why did Rizzi want him? Because that's the only reason why the Dolphins drafted him, was because Rizzi wanted him. You know, if Rizzi wants him, he's the most decorated special teams coach in the league, and he has a lot of pull. I think he's the assistant head coach with this organization. He's going to get what he wants. So he wanted Jason Sanders. So they asked him, why do you want Jason Sanders when he's got a caca percentage? I think it's like 60-something, 70% of his field goals he's made. So he's got caca, but the kid's got a leg. This is what he said. He said you cannot look at a kicker's percentage when it comes to college, because to go from college to a pros is different. And he gave a list of kickers that did really crappily, that's a word, really crappy in college, and is actually a very well-known kicker in the NFL. I didn't look up every kicker, but I looked up two kickers I looked up that are very well-known in the NFL as good kickers, and see how they did it in college. And the first kicker I looked up is Stephen Gostkowski. So everyone knows Stephen Gostkowski. He's not as clutch as Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker he was like 90-something% in college. That dude's just a beast. But in the pros, Gostkowski is pretty good. Last year he had a down year, but other than that, he's 90% on his field goals. So I looked him up. He was like 76% of his field goals were made in college, versus now where he's actually pretty friggin' good. So, and then Cody Parkey, who we used to have, had a low percentage. I think he was 71% in college, and he's like in the 80s, 90s now. I see what Dan Rizzi is coming from when he's talking about, you know, don't look at their percentages when it came to college, because it's a different world. Because then a guy popped into my head, you guys probably all know him, Robert Aguayo. He was the second-round draft pick, I think. Second or third-round draft pick by the Bucks. And he was a kicker. And everyone was like, this dude is clutch. That's why the Bucks took him so friggin' high. But everyone loved him because in college, his kicking percentage was 96.7. So he made 96.7 field goals in his whole entire college career. He comes to the pros, and his kicking percentage dropped down to 71%. So you see where Darren Rizzi's coming from, because you have these great kickers, some of them are coming over and they suck, and vice versa. These kickers that are like, but they got the leg, they come over and they thrive. They just need the right coach to teach them how to get that shit down pat. Other thing he mentioned, and I'm going to take Darren Rizzi's word on this because he watched a ton of tape on this kicker, at least 20 snaps in college, Sanders had to kick the laces. So essentially, the holder didn't spin the ball. And the holder didn't spin the ball enough, and the kicker's kicking the laces. And when you kick the laces, it's hard to get accuracy with it. So Darren Rizzi's saying, we got to see what we got with this guy. It was a 7th-round pick. Would I have wanted a different kicker with a better, field goal percentage? Yes. But the fact that this kid's got power in the leg, he can be taught how to narrow his accuracy. And the fact that Darren Rizzi watched the tape and noticed that a lot of his misses had to do with botched holds and snaps makes me feel better about it. And like I said, I trust this dude. We talked about our punter Matt Hack and how he said that he hit a wall at some point last year. It seems like some of his punts hit a friggin' wall at some point last year because they wouldn't go farther than 30 yards. But he said that he sees potential in him and he's got his best football ahead of him. I don't know. I think they should bring in another punter. I don't know if they brought in another punter, but we'll see what happens with this guy. Hopefully we don't need him as often. You know, it's always good to have a good punter. You know, get him in the 10-yard line. Have your defense fucking pin their ears back and do what they got to do. But right now he's saying that the punter's fine. We'll see about that. Then they asked about kickoffs, and he said essentially Amendola and Wilson are candidates for doing a punt return, and Ballage is the candidate for kick returns. What does that mean for Akeem Grant? I don't know. He's done better with catching the kickoffs and the punts, so I would like to see him do one of the two. But it's just, this is all speculation, because right now they're doing rookie mini camps, and with rookie mini camps there's no contact. The Dolphins are one of the few teams that no contact. It's just a lot of book work and a lot of like play through and a lot of just walking through the plays, no contact or anything. I think they try to save contact for mini camp and then eventually training camp. Next, we have the offensive coordinator, DouglieDoWrong, and he talked a lot about Ryan Tannehill. So he was, when they asked him about Tannehill, like what was his first impressions, he said he was really impressed by the way Tannehill throws. Us Dolphin fans, we knew for a long time that Tannehill could make certain throws, but he couldn't make other throws. Like his deep throws are hot garbage. But the last year he played, which was 2 years ago, he got really good at making those deep throws, and he started making better throws, and he started getting a better pocket presence, and he started to grow. So there's a lot of promise, and the whole team, even Adam Gase, is seeing there's a ton of promise with Tannehill, especially after what they saw, and now him being in his second year with, well, yeah, because he didn't play last year, so him being in the second year with the system, there's a lot of promise. Loggins even says that players make their biggest jump in the second year, and Tannehill has now been 3 years, but playing 2 years in this system, so there's only good things, I hope, please. Next, they talked about the thing that the Dolphin fans have been hearing since Joe Philman, is they want to run an up-tempo offense, no huddle, speed. I don't like that, because say your offense sucks, right? Which our offense sucked last year. The whole team kind of sucked last year. But all of a sudden your 3 and outs are real quick, which means your defense is back on that field real quick. Look how that worked with the Eagles and Chip Kelly. It's just a lot of like 1, 2, 3, defense, 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 and then your defense gets tired and then you lose. So I don't know how I feel about the up-tempo. Within 2-minute warnings, of course. You know, if you can master the up-tempo and the no-huddle, you can win games potentially on that last drive. To do it all around the game, I don't know. Not if you're not good, and I don't know if we're good because we're got new players and we're starting new, so I don't know. Loggins also talked about one of the sets that he is going to run, or they're going to run. It's called a 13 offense. That's what they said. Essentially, it's a 3 tight end set. They really, really like their tight ends. And if you can have a 3 tight end set where you have Smythe and Gesicki on the same field at the same time, then the defense doesn't know are they going to run it or are they going to throw it, because we got them both on the field. So I don't mind this set. I'm hearing a lot. They're going to do a ton of 4 wide sets because they have 4 great wide receivers. Well, not great, but they have 4 really good wide receivers. There's going to be a ton of different sets with this offense. And like I said in my last video, Adam Gase feels like he can now finally run the offense that he wanted to put in 2 years ago. And he now finally has the closest to the roster he wanted when he started. So maybe we're going to see some fireworks with this team. I got my fingers crossed. If it works, I see great things with this team. Finally, let's talk about the man of the hour, Matt Burke. Just so you know, from what I saw and read, he did not mention McDonald, TJ McDonald, moving linebacker. The name wasn't even brought up, so I think Adam Gase's comments on it kind of put the kibosh on it. He talked about he sees a great leap in production and a great leap in skill from Phillips and Gotch, which I hope, because without Sue and without trying to get a legit defensive tackle, and again, Hankins is still out there, we need these guys to take that step up. They played really good last year. Maybe they can grow even more. He also talked about he wants to do a 4 rotation with these defensive tackles, and he couldn't really do it with Ndamukong Suh, but you can't blame him, because Ndamukong Suh probably didn't want to come off the field because just Ndamukong Suh. But he said he wants to do a 4 rotation with these guys, keep them fresh, keep them motivated, which will help because some of the defensive tackles aren't used to playing so many snaps. So you keep them fresh, maybe we'll get a lot of pressure. And then you also have Hayes, who'll be playing inside a lot too. So you got 5 capable defensive tackles with this team. He also said that McMillan's going to be a huge acquisition for them this year. And he's talking as if they just got him. Like it was a free agent pickup or they just drafted him. And you could see it that way because he didn't play at all last year. He got injured. Oh God, it hurt when it happened. I remember he got injured on the kickoff. And Burke said that he was planning on having him being the starting middle linebacker, making play calls and everything. Like he was in the process of becoming that, and then he got hurt. So they see this as him coming back is huge, and it's like they got a free linebacker out of nowhere. So I have high hopes for McMillan, and let's see how that plans out. Then he was asked about with having Fitzpatrick, having McDonald, and having Rashad Jones, what are they going to do when it comes to who's playing where and da-da-da-da. And essentially, Matt Burke said the best 11 will be on the field. It all depends on what they see for the offense. What I got from that is if the offense comes in a 4-wide, 5-wide set, I would see all 3 of those guys on the field. Because, yeah, you can run it in a 4-wide set, but in a 5-wide set, you don't run it because there's no running back in the backfield. So I can see them putting like McDonald in the box to probably bump that tight end. And I could see crazy packages happening with this team. We have all those corners, those young, promising corners. We have these defensive ends that he actually talks about. He says that the defensive ends are probably the highlight of this defense because we just have some great pass rushers right now. So to have all those elements on this team, the only thing that worries me is linebacker, but we have to see how Baker plays, and I'm optimistic with Baker. Small, but I think that his speed can make up for his height size. And that is essentially in a nutshell of what these assistant coaches were talking about. From Darren Rizzi, I got a lot of optimism, and I got a lot of him defending the pick for Sanders. A lot of what he was saying made sense, and again, I trust the man because he's a very decorated coordinator and special teams coach, so he kind of knows what he's talking about. The offense, except for when he talked about the punter, I don't see that punter getting any better, but I would love to be proven wrong. The team in a whole, I'm optimistic about. I like the additions, I like what I'm hearing, but again, we haven't seen anything yet. So once they get on the field and once I start getting news and seeing things about their practices and how they were playing and, you know, their 7-on-7s and 11-on-11s, I will let you guys know. Like that day, I will make a video and let you guys know. Before what I'm hearing and what I'm telling you guys about their press conferences, it's promising, but I feel like there's going to be some growing pains because there's some new players and Gase, like he said, can finally run the scheme he wants. That is what I got from this. I'm optimistic, cautiously optimistic. When it comes to the Miami Dolphins, let me just throw this little knowledge on you. When it comes to the Miami Dolphins, what I do is I go in the season with low expectations. My motto with the Dolphins is I prefer to be surprised than let down. So if I go into this season expecting another 6-10 season, and all of a sudden the Dolphins go on an 8-run skid where they go 7-1 again, you know, it comes to the end of the season and they're 10-3 and they're just lighting it up, then it's a great, happy surprise. But if I go into the season expecting them to go 10-6 and make the playoffs again, aka last year, when they start sucking, and then they hit that point where you're just like the season's over, it hurts more. So that's why I go in, I'm not pessimistic, but I'm not optimistic. I try to be realistic with this team. So like I said, it's better to be surprised than let down. So last year, even when the season seemed over, once we beat the Patriots, we still had a chance to make the playoffs. We just had to win more, but we had a quarterback who just didn't give a shit anymore. He was done. That's what I'm feeling with the Dolphins. I'm gonna make another video once more news comes out from rookie mini camps. They introduced all the rookies. You can see that at the Miami Dolphins website. And then they go into OTAs and all that other jazz. I will make a video and I will let you guys know. I greatly appreciate you guys commenting and subscribing. You guys are friggin' awesome. follow me on Twitter, DouglieDoWrong. Whoop. I also have it at the end card. Also, don't forget to check my other YouTube channel with my boys. We are the Bit Boys. I'll put the link here. I also have it at the end card. We're playing a new game, Beyond Two Souls. Super fun. But other than that, hope you guys have an amazing weekend. It's now raining here in New Jersey, and it sucks. But I hope wherever you are, it's nice and sunny, and you enjoy your weekend till Monday, when it's coming in a day. But anyway, see you guys soon. Fins out. Adam Gase had a press conference today, and he was talking about everything. About the quarterbacks, about the draft picks, about his system, about the tight ends, and about McDonald. Not Ronald, but TJ. What? So I